what you hate to do, but do it like you love it. Always testing yourself and forcing yourself to the limits. That's what success in general is all about: sacrifice. From my experience,
I'm a dreamer. I have to aspire and dream big. And if I don't get a star, I grab a fistful of clouds, Mike Tyson stated. Describing Mike Tyson, a champion, is purely subjective. He influenced society by becoming one of the best boxers of all time, shattering stereotypes and teaching athletes that their decisions have consequences. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Thank you for joining us today. Today we'll be speaking about Mike Tyson highlights, the most violent puncher in boxing ever. Please watch the entire video to figure out all the details. And guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the bell notification. Alright then, let's get started. Born on June 30th, 1966, Michael Gerard Tyson is a retired pro boxer from the United States who fought from 1985 to 2005. Tyson, termed Iron Mike and Kid Dynamite in his early career before becoming the baddest man on the planet, is widely regarded as one of the best heavyweight boxers of all time. Michael Gerard Tyson was born in the Brooklyn neighborhood of Fort Greene. On his birth certificate, Tyson's biological father is listed as Purcell Tyson from Jamaica, but the man Tyson had known as his father was Jimmy Kirkpatrick. Kirkpatrick was a baseball player from Greertown, North Carolina, a primarily black community annexed by Charlotte. Kirkpatrick wedded and had a son, Tyson's half-brother Jimmy Lee Kirkpatrick, instrumental in integrating Charlotte High School football in 1965. Jimmy Kirkpatrick went to Brooklyn in 1959 when he met Tyson's mother, Lorna Mae Smith Tyson. Kirkpatrick went to pool rooms, gambled, and loitered on the streets. Tyson described his father as just a typical street guy caught up in the street world. Kirkpatrick abandoned the Tyson family short after Mike was born, enabling Tyson's mother to care for the children alone. Kirkpatrick passed away in 1992. Tyson spent his youth in and near high-crime districts. As per the Details interview, his first fight was with a more significant teenager who had ripped the head off of one of Tyson's pigeons. Tyson was regularly caught committing minor infractions and attacking others who mocked his high-pitched voice and lisp. He would be arrested 38 times by the time he was 13 years old. He was enrolled at the Tryon School for Boys in Johnstown, New York. Bobby Stewart discovered Tyson's developing boxing ability, a juvenile detention facility counselor and former boxer. Stewart thought Tyson was a great boxer and coached him for months before bringing him to Cuz D'Amato. On March 6, 1985, Tyson made his pro debut as an 18-year-old in Albany, New York. He conquered Hector Mercedes by TKO in the first round. In Mike's debut year as a pro, he had 15 fights. Tyson, who fought regularly, won 26 of his first 28 fights by KO or TKO, with 16 coming in the first round. The caliber of his opponents eventually improved to include journeyman and borderline candidates such as James Tillis, David Jocko, Jesse Ferguson, Mitch Green, and Marvis Frazier. Tyson's winning streak drew press coverage and he was dubbed the next great heavyweight champion. D'Amato died in November of 1985, early in Tyson's professional career, and some feel that his death was the cause for many of Tyson's problems as his life and profession developed. Tyson's first nationally televised fight came against journeyman heavyweight Jesse Ferguson on February 16, 1986, at Houston Fieldhouse in Troy, New York, and was discovered by ABC Sports. Tyson knocked Ferguson out in the 5th round with an uppercut that shattered Ferguson's nose. Ferguson began to hold and seal Tyson in the 6th round, ostensibly to avoid further punishment. The referee halted the bout around the middle of the 6th round after admonishing Ferguson multiple times to respect his boxing commands. The fight was initially considered a win for Tyson due to his opponent's disqualification. The ruling was modified to a TKO victory when Tyson's camp objected that a DQ victory would halt Tyson's series of knockout victories and that a knockout would have been the unavoidable conclusion. After scoring 6 consecutive knockout victories, Tyson met former world title contender Mavis Frazier in Glen Falls, New York, on another ABC Sports telecast. Tyson won handily, running at Frazier at the start of the fight and hitting him with an uppercut that put Frazier out in 30 seconds. Tyson acknowledged his first title fight on November 22, 1986, when he confronted Trevor Berbick for the World Boxing Council WBC Heavyweight Championship. In the second round, Tyson won the championship by TKO, making him the youngest heavyweight champion in record at the age of 20 years and 4 months. After overwhelming James Smith and Tony Tucker in 1987, he added the WBA and IBF championships. Tyson's strong performance earned him numerous honors. The noble and heroic art of boxing may at least cease fretting about its foreseeable term, now that it has identified a heavyweight champion fit to stand with Dempsey, Tunney, Lewis, Marciano, and Ali, wrote Donald Saunders. Tyson frightened adversaries with his strength, which he matched with exceptional hand speed, accuracy, synchronization, and timing. Tyson was also a skilled defender, using the peekaboo technique taught to him by his trainer, Cus D'Amato, to slide under and weave around his opponent's strikes while timing his own. Tyson's explosive punching technique was mainly due to his squatting shortly before delivering a hook or an uppercut, which allowed the spring of his legs to add power to the strike. Amongst his defining moves was a right hook to the belly accompanied by a right uppercut to the chin. This combo knocked out Lorenzo Boyd, Jesse Ferguson, and Jose Ribalta. Tyson had great expectations, and he was the favorite to win the Heavyweight Unification Series, a competition aimed to crown an undisputed heavyweight champion. On March 7, 1987, Tyson defended his championship versus James Smith in Las Vegas, Nevada. He won by unanimous verdict, adding Smith's World Boxing Association WBA title to his own. In the media, Tyson mania was spreading like wildfire. Pinklon Thomas was defeated by TKO in the 6th round in May. On August 1st, he conquered Tony Tucker in a 12-round unanimous verdict by 119 to 111, 118 to 113, and 116 to 112. He was the first heavyweight to hold all 3 major belts, WBA, WBC, and IBF. In October of that year, Tyson conquered 1984 Olympic super heavyweight gold champion Tyrell Biggs by TKO in the 7th round inside another match. During this period, Tyson drew the notice of Nintendo, a video game business. After seeing one of Tyson's fights, Nintendo of America president Minoru Arakawa was intrigued by his strength and expertise, prompting him to request Tyson be added to the planned Nintendo Entertainment System, ported the Punch-Out! Arcade game. Nintendo launched Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! In 1987, which was favorably received and sold over 1 million copies. On January 22, 1988, Tyson fought Larry Holmes and conquered him by KO in the 4th round. It was Holmes' lone knockout loss in 75 professional fights. In March, Tyson fought Comp Tubbs and took an easy 2nd round TKO victory. Tyson faced Michael Spinks on June 27, 1988. Spinks, who had won the heavyweight championship by a 15-round decision over Larry Holmes in 1985, had not lost his belt in the ring but was not recognized as champion by the prominent boxing organizations. Holmes had previously handed up everything but the IBF championship, which was revoked from Spinks after he chose to fight Jerry Cooney, who won by TKO in the 5th round over IBF #1 contender Tony Tucker because the Cooney fight presented him with a more excellent salary. Spinks did, nonetheless, win the lineal champion by defeating Holmes, and many, including Ring Magazine, believed that he had a legitimate claim to be the true heavyweight champion. The battle was the richest in history, and expectations were sky high. Boxing experts predicted a colossal clash of styles, with Tyson's aggressive infighting clashing with Spinks' deft outboxing and footwork. Tyson bashed Spinks out in the 1st round after 91 seconds, and many believed this to be the zenith of Tyson's renown and boxing ability. During this time, Tyson's difficulties outside the ring began to surface. His marriage to Robin Givens was on the verge of dissolution, and Don King and Bill Caton were clashing over his future contract. Tyson split out with manager Bill Caton in late 1988 and fired veteran trainer Kevin Rooney, whom many credited with polishing Tyson's skills after D'Amato's death. After Rooney's departure, observers claimed Tyson began to exhibit less head movement and combination punches. Tyson had only 2 fights in 1989 due to personal problems. In February, he challenged British boxer Frank Bruno. Bruno stunned Tyson after winning the 1st round, but Tyson knocked Bruno out in the 5th. In July, Tyson knocked out Carl "The Truth" Williams in the first round. Tyson appeared to have lost his way by 1990, and his personal life was in turmoil amid allegations of less strenuous preparation before the Buster Douglas fight. In a battle in Tokyo on February 11, 1990, he lost the undisputed championship to Douglas. Tyson was an enormous betting advantage. Tyson was a 42-1 favorite at the Mirage, the only casino that offered odds on the bout. Tyson could not overcome Douglas's rapid jab, which had a 12-inch, 30-centimeter reach advantage over his own. Tyson did get Douglas with an uppercut in the 8th round, knocking him to the floor, but Douglas recovered well enough to hand Tyson a thrashing in the next 2 rounds. After the bout, the Tyson squad would protest that the count was slow and that Douglas had taken more than 10 seconds to get back on his feet. Douglas landed a vicious uppercut 35 seconds into the 10th round, followed by a 4-punch flurry of hooks that dropped Tyson on the mat for the first time in his career. Referee Octavio Mayron ruled him out. Douglas's knockout on Tyson, the previously undefeated baddest man on the earth and perhaps the most feared boxer in professional boxing at the time, had been hailed as one of the most surprising upsets in contemporary sports history. Despite the heartbreaking defeat, Tyson had stated that losing to Douglas was the best moment of his career. "I needed that fight to grow as a person and fighter. I now have a comprehensive understanding of myself and boxing." Tyson bounced back with first-round knockouts of Henry Tillman and Alex Stewart in his next 2 fights. Tyson's triumph over Tillman, the 1984 Olympic heavyweight gold medalist, allowed him to redeem his amateur defeats at the hands of Tillman. These fights set up an elimination match for the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship, which Evander Holyfield had taken from Douglas in his first defense. On March 18, 1991, Tyson, the #1 contender, battled Donovan "Razor" Ruddock, the #2 contender, in Las Vegas. Ruddock was regarded as the most dangerous heavyweight globally and one of the most brutal pounding heavyweights. Tyson and Ruddock traded blows for most of the fight till the referee Richard Steele controversially stopped the bout in favor of Tyson in the 7th round. This decision outraged the people in the audience, resulting in a post-fight brawl. The referee was hauled out of the ring. Tyson and Ruddock fought again on June 28th of that year, with Tyson putting Ruddock down multiple times and earning a 12-round unanimous decision by scores of 113-109, 114-108, and 114-108. Tyson and Holyfield were set to fight for the undisputed championship on November 8, 1991 at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. Still, Tyson backed out due to a rib cartilage injury sustained during training. Tyson sought to retain his WBA championship against Evander Holyfield, who was in the 4th fight of his comeback. Holyfield retired in 1994 after losing his championship against Michael Moorer. Don King and others were claimed to regard former champion Holyfield, 34 at the bout, and a massive underdog, as a washed-up boxer. Tyson faced Holyfield in a title fight called Finally on November 9, 1996. In an unexpected change of events, Holyfield, who was assigned little chance of victory by many analysts, defeated Tyson via TKO in round 11 when referee Mitch Halpern stopped the bout. Holyfield became the second boxer in olden times to win 3 heavyweight championships. Holyfield's victory was tainted by Tyson's camp, alleging that Holyfield used several headbutts during the fight. Even though the referee determined the headbutts to be unintentional, they became a subject of dispute in the later rematch. On June 28, 1997, Tyson and Holyfield fought again. Halpern was slated to be the referee at first, but after Tyson's camp objected, Halpern stepped down, favoring Mills Lane. The highly awaited rematch called The Sound and the Fury was staged at the Las Vegas MGM Grand Garden Arena, previously hosted the first fight. It was a profitable event, attracting considerably more attention than the previous fight and grossing $100 million. Tyson gained $30 million and Holyfield received $35 million in professional boxing earnings till 2007. The battle was purchased by 1.99 million homes, setting a pay-per-view buy rate record. The fight, which would become one of the most contentious in contemporary sports history, was called off at the end of the 3rd round, with Tyson penalized for biting Holyfield on both ears. When Tyson bit him the first time, the match was halted. The battle was restarted after referee Mills Lane deducted 2 points from Tyson. After the bout resumed, however, Tyson bit him again, resulting in his disqualification, and Holyfield won the match. The initial bite was severe enough to remove a chunk of Holyfield's right ear, which was later discovered on the ring floor. Tyson later explained that his actions were in reaction to Holyfield continually headbutting him without consequence. In the turmoil that followed the bout's conclusion and the revelation of the result, a near riot broke out in the arena and several people were wounded. Tyson Holyfield 2 was the first heavyweight title battle in more than 50 years to be disqualified. As a result of the incident, the Nevada State Boxing Commission immediately deducted $3 million from Tyson's $30 million purses. Tyson delivered a statement 2 days after the bout, apologizing to Holyfield for his behavior and requesting that he not be banned for life for the event. Tyson was widely chastised in the media, but he was not without supporters. Catherine Dunn, a novelist and commenter, penned a column in which she questioned Holyfield's sportsmanship during the contentious fight and accused the press media of being biased towards Tyson. In a unanimous voiced vote, Tyson's boxing license was revoked by the Nevada State Athletic Commission on July 9, 1997. He was also fined $3 million in order to pay the legal costs of the hearing. Because most state athletic commissions recognize fines imposed by other states, Tyson was virtually barred from boxing in the United States. The cancellation was not permanent, as the commission voted 4-1 on October 18, 1998 to reinstate Tyson's boxing license. In 2002, Tyson was allowed to reclaim his heavyweight title. At the time, Lennox Lewis held the WBC, IBF, IBO, and lineal titles. Tyson and Lewis had sparred as potential fighters in 1984 at a training camp in a meeting arranged by Cus D'Amato. Tyson attempted to fight Lewis in Nevada for a more lucrative box office destination. Still, the Nevada Boxing Commission denied him a boxing license because he was facing potential sexual assault charges at the time. Tyson had made several offensive remarks to Lewis in an interview following the Savarese fight 2 years before the battle. "I want your heart. I want to eat your children," one of the remarks said. On January 22, 2002, the two boxers and their courtiers got into a fight at a press conference in New York to hype the upcoming match. After the Nevada State Athletic Commission declined to award Tyson a license for the bout a few weeks later, the promoters were forced to make reasonable adjustments. After several jurisdictions refused to issue Tyson a claim, the fight took place on June 8 at the Pyramid Arena in Memphis, Tennessee. Lewis dominated the battle and knocked Tyson out in the 8th round with a proper shot. Tyson was gracious after the fight and congratulated Lewis on his triumph. This fight was the highest earning pay-per-view event in history at the time, grossing $106.9 million from 1.95 million buys in the United States. Tyson inked a contract in July 2020 to meet former 4-division world champion Roy Jones Jr. in an 8th-round exhibition bout. Rafael Cordeiro, a mixed martial arts teacher, was chosen as Tyson's mentor and cornerman. The California State Athletic Commission sanctioned fight was initially set for September 12th at Carson, California's Dignity Health Sports Park. However, to maximize revenue for the event, the date was pushed back to November 28th. The bout lasted 8 rounds and was called a draw. The fight was ruled a tie by 3 judges: Chad Dawson, 76-76, Christy Martin, 79-73 for Tyson, and Vinny Paziana, 76-80 for Jones. Mike Tyson announced the establishment of Mike Tyson's Legends Only League in July 2020. Tyson established the league in collaboration with Sophie Watts and her company, Eros Innovations. The confederation allows former professional athletes to compete in their respective sports. Mike Tyson faced Roy Jones Jr. in the Staples Center on November 28, 2020 in the first event staged by the Legends Only League. The event garnered excellent primary feedback and was the highest-selling PPV event of 2020, ranking in the top 10 PPV purchase events of all times. Well, that's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until we see you next time, ciao!